What's going on, everybody? This is your man, Big Stu, Scott Stewart or Professor Stewart, depending on how you know me. And we are back with another edition of Dope People right here on the Dope People podcast. We are not letting you down. Every episode, we bring straight heat to you. And this episode is no different. Straight again. New York is in the building representing all straight day. From the BK.
Home of
live
Biggie.
and direct. Live and direct. We have the infamous Samantha Pugh, Principal Samantha Power Pugh. Principal Power is in the building today.
Hey.
Yo. And this is about to be phenomenal.
Yes, it is.
Welcome to the show. Welcome to Dope People, Principal Power.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm super excited. How do I get on a show that's called Dope People, right? Like
Dope People. You made it. You are, let me give it to you now. You are officially Dope People.
Wow.
It is official. You are officially Dope People.
Hey,
shout out to OSG for bringing this together, making this happen. It wouldn't be because of OSG. And we're going to talk about that in one moment.
That's right.
Now, let me introduce you. There are a lot of our peers, educational leaders who are listening in, paying attention, teachers who aspire to get into leadership. So let me let them know who you are. Let me go through this a little bit. Mm-hmm. Samantha Pugh, Miss Pugh, Principal Pugh, is a proud native New Yorker.
Ow.
Dedicated her life to education and believes wholeheartedly that all students should have access to a high quality education that prepares them for college and beyond. As a first generation college graduate, Principal Pugh believes that by creating an environment where children are supported emotionally, challenged academically, and empowered socially, every child can succeed beyond their dreams. Her commitment to education is a true calling, and she is highly driven to ensure that every child, regardless of zip code, can and will have the tools to succeed. And she is determined to, get this, change the world one student at a time.
Yes.
She is a transformational leader with more than 20 years of experience. 24 of them, 25 of them, whatever. She just does this. All grades, K through 12.
Yes.
She has had success in turning around struggling schools.
Yes.
Building on the success of high achieving schools and founding new effective schools in both districts and charter settings across New York City. Principal Power Pugh has demonstrated that she is a true champion for the children of the most underserved neighborhoods. She's been able to accomplish this by continuing to be relentless and passionate in the pursuit of ensuring. Let me do this again. She has been able to accomplish this by continuing to be relentless and passionate in the pursuit of ensuring that all students see college as a viable option. Her strengths, her superpowers, collaborative leadership, strategic and innovative planning, empowering educators to develop their leadership skills and their instructional expertise, developing and implementing equitable and inclusive programming, and fostering strong relationships with all stakeholders. Now, look, this is good stuff. and this is just like the boss of bosses to be here. Throughout her journey, Principal Power in her education field has been and held numerous roles and positions, beginning with 5 years in the classroom, 6 years as a dean and instructional coach. Then she did like a 7-year stretch as an AP at a principal in charter districts and public districts. She worked at turnaround schools, as you said before, and her recent experiences include founding head of school principal, where she created, led, and implemented programming that addressed the needs of students who come from one of the poorest and educationally underserved congressional districts in this country. She is currently the chief educational officer at Current Solutions LLC. This is what she does. Principal Pugh holds a Bachelor of Arts in English, secondary education from the Hampton University. She holds a Master's of Arts degree from Torah University in literacy and a Master's of Arts in Education Leadership from Fordham University's Education Leadership Administration and Policy Principal Preparation Program. That's a mouthful, but we got it out.
A whole lot.
She's also an alum of the prestigious nationwide leadership preparation program, New Leaders, which is a year-long program that develops transformational school leaders to ensure high academic achievement for all children. It was worth it. Welcome to the show, Principal Power in the building.
Woo, that's me. That's what they call me. I'm here.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. How'd that make you feel hearing all that?
I mean, I'm so glad we had that opportunity. It's like everything happens at the right time. And sometimes when you get in the middle of all of it and you feel like, I have so much more to accomplish, I got to do this, or you're not feeling like what you put forth is necessarily impactful, you get an opportunity like this that God says, I'm going to remind you just in case you stuck. I'm going to remind you. So hearing that, I'm just like, I don't know. That just did something for me. If you notice, like my body language changed when you started. I feel great. I feel gratitude. I feel blessed to be able to have done all that I've done. And I still feel like there's more. So I thank you for taking the time to read that so beautifully, because it was a lot of hard work.
Oh, yeah.
Again, over the last 24 years.
I've been prepping for moments like this to sit and talk to dope people. But that tells us a lot about who you are professionally.
Thank you.
It doesn't really tell us about who you are. And the only way we can get to that on this show is through a friendly round of this or that. Are you?
I'm so excited about this. I'm so excited about this.
This or that. This or that.
This is my type of thing.
You know how it goes. To give two choices, you got to pick one.
Yes.
It's this or that. It's not this, that, or both. It's not this, that, or neither. It's not this. It's this or that. Pick one. That's how we go. Okay.
All right. Got it. I'm ready.
Newspaper or online news?
Online news.
Okay. All right. Travel by plane or travel by boat?
Oh, no. Travel by plane.
Travel by plane.
That was the easy one.
Bunny or squirrel?
Bunny. Oh, squirrels. I live in New York. The squirrels, they different.
Cousin to the rat, huh?
Right. I thought it's a rat with a furry tail. They don't play that. So I take the bunny.
Okay.
Shout out to the bunnies.
Shout out to the bunny. Cake or cookies?
Cookies.
All right. Board games or video games?
Oh, this is a hard one. Video games.
Wow.
Video games. Yeah, wow. I'm a gamer.
Pancakes or waffles? Morning or evening?
Ooh, this is hard. It depends for what, but mornings. I love mornings.
Freeze pop or snow cone?
I'm hood. Let me see. Freeze pop or snow cone? Freeze pops because they're easier. Yeah, freeze pops. Okay. Ooh, that was a hard one.
Library or museums?
Museum.
Okay, that was easy.
Mm-hmm.
Text or call?
Call. I like voices. I'm an extrovert. I'm an introvert with extroverted qualities. So I like to talk.
I like that what you said. I like voices.
Mm-hmm. I like
love
voices.
or money?
Love.
Book or movie?
Movie.
Chocolate or vanilla?
Of course, chocolate.
Okay. Reading or writing?
I don't know. Those are writing.
90s hip hop or 90s R&B?
90s hip hop. I'm a hip hop for now. That was like, yeah. It did get hard though, because if you'd have said that was a hard choice though.
You said Brooklyn?
All day, every day, from the head to my toe.
Biggie or Jay-Z?
Oh no. We don't choose between those two.
I gotta edit that out. I might have to leave that in. That's a Brooklyn.
No, you should leave that in there.
I violated a Brooklyn code.
Nah, we don't choose between them two. No, there's rules to this. There's levels to this. Nah.
I violated the code. Let me come back. Let me redeem myself.
Okay.
Teachers or parents?
Ooh. Honestly, I would not answer. I cannot choose. This would be the one I'm going to choose. You can't choose one or the other.
That's nah. I laid out the ground rules before. Nah, son. Nah, son. It's not that. Is this or that?
Or that. Teachers or parents?
Teachers or parents?
Parents.
It's all love, Principal Pugh. It's all love. It's all.
You're gonna get me in trouble, Stu.
Dope people. You dope people. You a leader, and you can explain why.
I can.
And it's not saying one without the other. It's between the two. This one, and you can give your why.
This one I could give my why.
Yeah.
I have always been very committed to making sure parents were a large piece of the fabric of our schools. Because as a child who had parents who had to work or had other responsibilities, I always didn't feel like my parents were involved. My parents were involved and the schools didn't want them involved. So I'm very, very committed. Like I don't do much. When I was a principal, I didn't do much of anything unless my parents were involved. I still have relationships with them. I know what I mean to parents when they see me at the helm of their schools and they see me, there's hope. There's another layer of hope there that I think our people in our communities need. So I wouldn't choose one over the other because I'm a teacher at heart, but I know what our parents need. I know what they deserve. And I also know how they've been treated. So that's why I selected that one.
Okay. All right. We're not here to try to catch you up. We ain't trying.
It's too late. You already did.
No. But we want to see, we want to get to know you. We want to get to know you. We want the people to get to know you. Right. And this one, actually, it doesn't really, I'm gonna put a little sugar on this, but it gets a little tougher. If you thought that was hard, I got like one or two more that may really rack your brain. But before we go there, let's just soften it up a little bit. Wonder Woman or Catwoman?
Catwoman.
Okay. All right.
But she didn't have to have a superpower. She was just dope.
She was just dope, right?
She was just dope. And she was stealthy.
Okay.
Like I feel like I'm stealthy.
Streaming movies online or going to the movie theater?
Going to the movies.
All right. Unions or non-unions?
Non-unions.
And here's the final one. Traditional learning or e-learning?
Traditional learning.
Welcome. You are done. You completed it.
I made it. I gotta take the sweat off my brow. Whew, that was a lot.
That was it. Pressure was
good,
on.
but it was good. Yes.
You did a great job. Thank
you.
All right. Principal Power, as you are
that's me.
affectionately known as an OSG Off School Grounds, where we met. That's where we met. Tell us a little bit about you. We know you from Brooklyn. What kind of student were you, 6th through 12th grade? Who were you, Samantha Pugh, 6th through 12th grade?
So, I've never shared this with anybody, but I'm going to share it with you. So, like, Principal Power is like, how Beyonce talks about Sasha Fierce and she has to turn into that in order. principal power is like my alter ego, but it's also it's the answer to the kid that I was when I was a student, right? So when I say that principal power is confident, principal power expresses herself. She speaks with a level of passion. She is, she's super smart, super dope, unapologetic about who she is. And she leaves it all on the table in the name of her people. And I didn't always feel like I had that. I always felt like that was in me, but I didn't have that voice. I'm a kid that grew up in a very large family and had some adversity. And I was the one kid in my home, in my situation, that was on track to do something great. So with that, I had to go within myself, and I wasn't always expressive. So principal power is the reflection of who I wanted to be when I was that 12, 13, and 14-year-old now. So I was always a good student. I always loved school. I always loved learning. School was always easy to me. School work was always easy to me. My family, I'm a project kid, proud of it. And I didn't have the best schools when I was growing up. So my mother put me in the neighborhood middle school, and then she met someone who said, your daughter's super smart, she needs to go to private school. And then also I was a kid who came from a big family and things like that. So, the streets was calling me. Even at the age of like 6 or 7, I was like trying to decide who I was going to be. And my mother said, I got to take you out of public school. And I'm going to put you in private school, a smaller setting, even if I have to work another job. So I don't understand why my phone is ringing. Sorry, let me turn that off. Cut that out. Yep. So I went to private school, and my mother fought hard to always keep me in private and Catholic school. So I always excelled academically, but socially, I was like a mess. I was a mess, and I was a quiet kid, but I was a very loud kid. So like I was at school, and I'm the same person, right? Like I always felt like I had to fight for everyone. I always talked a lot. So I think a lot of times my academic life got kind of like blurry with the other part of my life.
Now, did you always know that you wanted to be a teacher? Like when did you realize that?
Nope, I did. I would have never.
How did that happen?
I've always been a kid whisperer. So I was always the kid that took care of all the other kids. I always played school. I always babysat. I was always that teenager. So I knew that I knew inside of me it was something about kids. But, I was fighting what the 80s and 90s drug epidemics did to families and neighborhoods. It directly impacted my family. So I was like, I got to go to school, but but I was so depressed that I didn't know that I was depressed. And I was in school. My mother put me, because I excelled academically, I went to a specialized high school, and I was in classrooms. I remember I told you I came from private, but I went into this very large comprehensive high school with 34 kids in it. And my family had been ravaged by drugs, and I traveled 2 hours every day to just go to this school. And no one ever asked me, how am I doing? And I didn't know what was safer, school or home. So sitting in the back of a classroom for a whole year, a whole school semester, and my math teacher never come into the back, didn't know my name, didn't know who I was. All I needed was an adult to say, how can I help you? Because I was in pain, but because I was so outgoing and all of these things, no one ever paid attention. So
I want to come back to that. I'm sorry. Yeah. It's just so much. It's so much, right? It's just a lot that you're helping me understand. You said it with so much style and grace and poise. You skated over. The principal never came to the back.
Yep, never came.
And as I think about my own teaching, how few times I actually go to the back when there used to be a back before the circles and the,
right,
and the
exactly.
pods, right? I'm talking 20 years ago. And so how few times I actually went to the back. Like that's why we always say sit in the front.
Right.
But that had an impact on you that even till today, you remember
I remember how it felt.
How it
I
felt, right?
remember, when I talk about it, I actually go back to that place of how it felt to be in the back of a room and really not feel good or confident at algebra. And my teacher never coming to the back of the room, not never. And at that time, all I wanted was somebody to check in on me. And because I was taking care of myself, my mother was working, my family had been broken and ravaged by drugs. And my mother said, I got to go to work. And guess what? You got to go to school. That's the only thing that's going to get us out of this situation. And I went to school every day after traveling, after most of the time being up all night, and then traveling for 2 hours through some of the toughest neighborhoods to get to school. And then I had to sit there in a classroom in algebra and my teacher never see me.
So fast forward, right? How did you got your undergrad is in
English. In English education, and which is a very interesting story. You want to hear this one?
Yeah, come on.
So went to college, right? So made it because two adults changed the trajectory of my life. 2 teachers and a social, well, actually 3, 2 teachers and a social worker finally asked me, how you doing? And the moment they asked me how was I doing, that opened my life up to being able to be supported in a way that I needed to. I was academically challenged, but at the same time, loved on. And I hadn't ever experienced that in school. So that got me to college. And I went to Hampton University. Shout out to the real HU, the real HU.
That's debatable. I know some people down at the other HU.
The other HU would feel some type of way.
Anyway.
Yeah, but they know. So I went to Hampton University, right? Super excited. First person in my family to do it. Was excited. I was going to school to be Jay-Z's entertainment attorney. And I was very clear that I wanted to be an entertainment attorney for a rapper. And during that time, Jay-Z came out and I said, that's him. I'm going to school. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to be Oprah. I'm going to be a personality. Right. I'm going to talk show host. So they told me how much mass media majors make when they get out of school. I was like, not for me. And then I was like, all right, law school it is. My sophomore year, read the book Invisible Man by Ralph Ellison. Changed my life. And I had to write a paper, the intern paper, about making parallels between our own life when we felt invisible to the parallels to the character. And I talked about feeling invisible my 4 years in high school, and how when people invest in you and, build you up to believe in yourself, the power of that can change and save your life. And that's what saved my life. So my professor called me at home and here I go. I was partying. It was a Friday. I was turned up. I was like, Al, it's the end of the semester. And my roommate's like, Professor Martin's on the phone. I'm like, there I go. That's it. I don't talk too much again.
Wow.
And he called me and he said, is everything in this story true? And I said, yeah. And he said to me, well, I need you to do me a favor. I said, what is that? He's like, I've been teaching for 15 years. I've never given anybody an A+. I'm going to give you one. And that is a perfect score. But you have to promise me, I've been so moved by your story. You have to promise me tomorrow you go change your major and major in education, because that is your calling. And if you do that, I will give you the A+ that you need and that you want and that you deserve.
Wow.
And because he poured into me in that way, the next day I went and changed my major. And it was no turning back from there.
Shout out to Professor Martin at Hampton University. Mm-hmm. Wow, let's definitely want to give him a shout out. I'm still in touch with the 3 people that changed my life in high school. I've never found him. So if you out there, Professor Martin, just know that I owe it to you. I owe a lot to you. Oh man.
So that's why I'm an educator.
Yeah, that's a moment educators live for. We live for those moments right there where somebody says, because of you, I'm a better person. I am who I am today. I'm thriving. more to surviving because of you. That's awesome.
Yeah. So like Principal Power is this person that's like, very passionate and speaks with a lot of passion and speaks with a lot of power, speaks with a lot of urgency, because that's what it was for me then.
Yeah.
So imagine what it is now. Like those instances, if it wasn't for those instances in school, I would not be here. So It is so important to me that we create spaces for kids like me, and actually kids that have it worse off than me, because we can change the lives. And if we can change the lives, we can change communities. We can change. If we sit down and pour into young people the way we need to pour into them, the way they deserve, it's life or death. Like for me, it was life or death.
Yeah.
So people wonder why I'm like, because that's what it is for me, because I know how important it is.
It's lives on the line.
It's lives on the line. We're not talking about, some kids will decide to go to college or not, right? Like, no, it's about whether kids are going to be dying or not. Right. When kids can't read by the 8th grade, their life expectancy drops. Like their life expectancy, not just, we talk about going to college and college rates and persistence, but very rarely do we have the conversation that if you can't read on an 8th grade level, how the trajectory of your life changes, because it's life or death. And I operate out of that sense of urgency, because I don't never want young people dying on my watch.
Man. I'm moved by that because I feel a lot of that in my own work. What's if it's the same thing, say, hey, that's what I'm talking about, but what's kind of keeping you up at night about education? What are some of your frustrations in education right now? What's some of the challenges you're dealing with?
That we're not really helping people. I feel like we're cogs in the wheel right now, and we just going, and no one's stopping to say, how do we really authentically help people? I think we're not having conversations about how to help school systems, how to help school leaders. And then ultimately, we're not having conversations about how to help children in the community. We're talking about throwing money at them. We're talking about throwing policy. We're talking about politics. And we're missing the mark on really what we need to do for our kids. And I think as leaders, we're getting caught up in the hype of the money's coming to schools and districts, and we're thinking about social emotional learning, and forgetting about true academic. And I always say, the best way that we can demonstrate equity, or the most equitable thing we can do, is provide kids with a high quality education. So I think we're getting caught up in that, and it's time to get back to the fact that our kids have to be able to read and write and have experiences where they talk to one another, where they make meaning in different types of ways. And we're getting away from that. And I think that's very strategic to happen.
Let's dig with it. When I want to tap into that just a tad bit. I don't want to fully unpack it because we're short on time to kind of fully unpack it. But when you say we're not teaching them the reading, we're not teaching them to read the basic academics, when it comes to interacting and engaging students in the classroom, what are we doing? Are we just letting them, the system, are we just letting them pass? Are we just... We're not holding a high bar. We're not even understanding, let's even go back, how kids learn and how people learn. We have focused on more of achievement than learning. So, and it's interesting because one would think you can't achieve if you don't learn. Not necessarily so, right? We're measuring, we're so focused on people accomplishing and getting and showing and doing those things, but are they learning? Yeah.
Because once you get to, all of that looks good, but once you get to the point where you're being challenged, The reason why I'm successful is I could talk both games, right? Like
Yeah.
I'm very much so aware of what's happening out there, but I also can quote the research. I could also tell you how people learn. I could also, and I think for Black and brown kids, it's so important for us to be able to navigate. And we're not talking about code switching. We're talking about navigating the world through our lens, right? And it's so important that we're able to do that, but we're focused on one thing and not the other. Okay. So we've got to be building up kids, giving them like wonderful programming and, you know, giving them the skills and letting them, you know, do TikToks and be entrepreneurs, but they also need to be able to think critically. Yeah. They also need to be able to not only think critically, they got to be able to write critically and read critically. Mm-hmm. Because a lot of when I'm running up against stuff, right, I'm writing people letters. I'm sending emails. I'm communicating on a whole nother level. So they know that my credibility is there, but not only am I just credible on the outside, there's so much more to principal power than the angry Black woman. Mm-hmm. It's also, I'm angry with a cause and I'm angry with research. And I also have some solutions. Mm-hmm. If you really give us the opportunity to talk about it. And I want our kids to be able to do that because they can't just be the showstoppers. They got to be out here and being the innovators and the dismantlers of the system. So yeah. I feel like we don't have that balance and we've got to get that balance back.
That's a very strong point. I like that a lot. And it's a great segue into my next question. It's like, so what's working for you? What are you excited about in education today? What are you fired up about in education today?
I'm love what I do, right? Like I have the best job in the world. I don't feel like finally in my life, I don't feel like I work every day. I feel like I do joyful work. So currently I am what I call a school improvement and leadership improvement coach. So I'll go around to different schools and talk to school leaders whom I like and who I respect about how can we make this better, right? How can I help you sharpen your irons? And how can I be there physically? And how can I be there emotionally? How can I be there, you know, professionally to support you to do all the things that you dream for kids? And when you get to do that every day, like that's just like amazing. So I'm super excited about the work that people are actually doing, you know, like the work that people are actually doing. I'm excited about this shift. Like people are really thinking innovatively in a very innovative way after COVID. I'm excited about that. I'm excited that even though I still think it's surface level, I'm excited that we've been talking a lot about culturally responsive and equity-based learning. I'm a part of that conversation on so many different levels, but I love the fact that we're having the conversations and we're forcing people to have the conversations. So, and I get to be with dope people every day. Yeah. I get to sit down with dope people and say to them, so what are your dreams? Like, how do you see the school? What's your barriers? And then how can I help eliminate those barriers? And then I get to just be me. I get to go in there and have the tough conversations and have the tough talk. But the same way I did with kids, I have the tough talk, but I love them to death. So every single one of my I love on them from top to bottom. So everyone has my phone number. They can access me. So that's what I do. So now, before I was a chief academic officer, I got to impact 600 kids. Now at this point, I impact 6,500 of them.
Wow.
So yeah, it's the best job ever. And I'm so grateful to the people who've given me opportunities.
Creating that deep and long impact is absolutely phenomenal. Mm-hmm. We're running up towards the end of the show.
No.
But I know, right? Time
we
flies
need a part
when
two.
You're having fun, right? Well,
I know we need a part two.
We have, because we just it was clear. This episode is about you. It's about you. We'll have to make another episode that really kind of digs into some of those takeaways of the work.
Right.
But speaking about the work, before I get to that last question, I want to throw this in here. You are able to work with some dope people in your work. But again, going back to kind of how we met, the OSG, off school grounds.
Off school grounds.
Talk to us. You know, a lot of people, particularly and I don't think anybody on my audience has heard about OSG really, or off school grounds. Tell the people real quick what that is and why that's such an amazing cohort conglomerate of educators.
You see how I light up when you say it? Like, I got my blue glasses on, because like, if you have not experienced OSG, you certainly are missing out. We are a coalition of amazing people, not just educators, people who are in the field, who we have entertainers, we have, entrepreneurs. It's mostly in support of the work that each one of us does in schools. So we get together on a regular basis and build on each other's dopeness to help support one another so that we can change communities. So we're a coalition where we get together Thursdays, we talk, we build, but the real work is off the school grounds, right? So because it's this belief that everything that needs to happen can't happen on school grounds. We have to take it off school grounds, get other people involved, gather, collaborate, and then take everything that we've learned and support and go back and changing it, because it's hard to change it from within. It came about as a result of the pandemic. A lot of us principals were just like lost, and we didn't have people to talk to. And through the genius of Dr. Dennis McKeezy, he was like, I'm gonna bring them together. And I'm not gonna bring them together on school. I would need them to be able to be their authentic selves, so that so there's no layers to it, right? Like, we're straight our authentic self. And it's like, when you don't have layers into it, then you could go deep. And we were able to go deep, and we bonded over something that could have been tragic and really turned it into something amazing right now. So yes, and everybody who knows me, I am OSG from the top to the bottom.
Oh man, you part of the heartbeat. You part of the heartbeat of OSG.
I am.
I've never seen anything like it. Never in my life seen anything like it.
Never.
Nope. My socks were knocked off the first day, and haven't missed a meeting. And it's not because you all are so turned up, which you are.
Yes.
But it's not because of that. It's because you all authentically, we are.
Yes, I was going to say you are. We are. Yes.
Authentically doing the work.
Yes.
And it's with like-minded people. I've never experienced anything like this in my life.
People laugh at me all the time. And what most folks don't know is that I came to OSG and left. And Dennis came back and got me. He was like, nah, we need you. You need us. And it's the best thing that has happened to me. Yeah. So I'm so grateful. And it's like, I've been looking for my tribe for a long time.
You got it right there.
Right. I've been looking for it. And it's like, wait, I can talk about instruction and talk about these things. And I can talk about sneakers. And I can talk about hip hop, and then we're going to get together. We're going to give out food, and then we're going to get together. We're going to go support one another at each of schools. Like, where they do that at?
And then I'm going to have Big Daddy and everything coming through like a squad. It's squad up.
We squad up. Gang. What's up?
In the name of education, for our young people.
Yes, and changing our communities, right? Like, we're very clear on that. And that's why the power in it is that we have some of the dopest school leaders on earth, right? Yeah. But we also have some of the dopest people on earth. And you put that together,
it's crazy.
It's a problem.
It's crazy.
So
hey, last question. Where do you see education going? What's the next 10 years, 20 years of education look like from your perspective?
Ooh, this is a good question. I haven't thought about this in a long time, because I've been around for 20 years, right? Like, and it hasn't.
And you young. I know. Hey, y'all. I know she said she's been around for 20 plus years. It's true. Yes. I read that. But this is a young lady. Young lady filled with energy. So another 20 years is a blink of an eye.
It's gonna be. I mean, but you know what's crazy, Stu? It ain't much different than it was 20 years ago. So there's a part of me that's hopeful, because at the rate that we're moving, there should be some major change. But I've been an educator for over 20 years, and I haven't seen much change. I've seen much changes, many changes, but I haven't seen much change. And the other thing is I haven't seen, like, and now that I think about the 20 years as a student, I haven't seen much change. So
let me go here then. What would it be for you? What does it need to be? What does education need to be in the next 10 years? And
it needs to be a conglomerate, right? It's like almost like what we talk about, what we do with OSG. We can't do this work without the communities, right? And the community work and the community advocacy. We can't do this work without healthcare and making sure our people have their basic needs. We can't do this without making sure that our folks have food and all that stuff. So what I want to see is that we spend more time talking about community schooling, because a principal can't do it by themselves. So if we can figure out how to bring all these entities together, then I think that we will start to see major change. And what I want to see is that schools be the beacon of the community that they used to be. And I'm hoping that we're in that trajectory, because, like this commitment to community schooling, this commitment to equity work, I'm hoping that we're on that trajectory to go that way. But I would just be happy to see classrooms look different than they did 20 years ago. So alternative ways to assess, alternative ways to teach, alternative scheduling, and giving school leaders the autonomy and the empowerment to do so. So I think we're going in that direction. Like, we're having these conversations about equity and equitable practices. We're having these conversations about data and how to use those things. We're talking about all of those things, and I'm actually seeing people implement it. So what I'm hoping that is not just the hype, that this is longevity. So I want to see education be innovative and responsive to our kids, as opposed to our kids having to be responsive to the system.
That's good. Is there anything that you want to make sure that people know or should know about you? Anything you're working on? Words of wisdom, encouragement, anything that we haven't quite talked about that you want to make sure that you get out before we get out of here today?
I mean, I'd like to think I have words of wisdom, but you said I'm still young, so I don't know that I have wisdom yet. But what I want people to know is that there's a little girl, there's a little power sitting somewhere, and she has cornrows, and she has big earrings, maybe, she has sneakers, she has all of those things, and she deserves the life that God set for her, that the world says she belongs to and deserves, and that we can't just look at the outside of her. It is worth us digging deep and really seeing the human in her. And that's not just in schools, that's outside, that's in the courts, that's on the street, it's all of those things. And it may look a little crazy on that, but it's still in the inside. It's a human that has basic human needs and deserves to be treated that way. And we need to come into contact with people, not just always what we see on the outside, but who we can and will be in the inside. So we deserve that. And it's all of our duties. It's not the duty of just the school leader and the teachers. It's all of our responsibility.
Yes, indeed. You have given us much to ponder, much to pontificate.
Hey, much to pontificate. Yeah. That's one of my favorite words, pontificate.
Pontificate. Oh, I love
that's
that.
That's so sophisticated.
Right? Hey, listen. You got to come back, because we need to talk about those solutions.
Yes, we need to talk about those solutions.
Yeah, I want to volley with you a little bit back and forth about some of these concepts, specifically about, I don't understand this diversity and inclusion curriculum. I don't understand it. Don't make sense to me. But yeah, I want to talk about that. I think I get the premise, but I don't really, I got to wrap up. You have to take me through that conversation when you come back.
Absolutely. And we'll talk about equity and liberation, right? Because, we've been talking about equity for a long time, but now it's time to liberate. And that's when we talk about dismantling systems, that's true liberation, right? Breaking free, true liberation.
Hey, listen, listeners, I know you found this to be another amazing episode of Dope People. Tell somebody.
Big up to Brooklyn.
Big up to Brooklyn.
Shout out to OSG.
Shout out to OSG. I thought you had another one. Come on.
Nope. It's not fun if you know it's coming. It's not even fun if you know it's coming. Shout out to my morning yawning and early morning email.
Yeah, that's right. We didn't even talk about that.
Yes.
So where can people catch up with you, Power?
Ooh,
come on.
Okay.
It'll be in the show notes. It'll be. Tell them what. We didn't even talk about the.
Right. Exactly.
Tell the people.
You could catch me on my website, www.samanthapowpugh.org. That's how you can get in touch with me. I am Principal Power Pugh on Instagram and Twitter. I will be, along with some of my sisters, really dropping a book in a couple of months. Don't tell anyone.
Don't tell.
And it's gonna be. I mean, it's going to hit. It's going to hit hard. I'm working behind the scenes on another big project with some of the ladies of OSG to celebrate our authentic leadership. That's coming out soon. And I mean, my company is Courageous Solutions. We have grown from just me to a few other people. So I'm working. I'm out here working. But I'm working and there's some good stuff coming out. But check me out. Instagram is always a great place. You can check me out on every third Thursday on OSG for Power Hour. Yeah. You can catch me co-hosting with Lays Elliott in the morning yawning on Facebook Live on Thursdays. So more stuff to come. You'll be probably seeing me on TV as well.
We're gonna talk about that. Hey, look, all of those contacts will be in the show notes.
Yes.
It has been a pleasure to having you on Dope People. As we said earlier, you are officially stamped Dope People.
Thank you.
Thank you for blessing us on the show. And to all of you who are here with us, if you're on YouTube, like, subscribe, and share. Until next time, everybody, you already know what it is. Peace.
Peace.
There we go.